It's 2 a.m. You're 300 miles offshore. Your boat is sinking. The ocean is 40-degree water and 20-foot waves. No ship can reach you in time. The only thing between you and death is a helicopter. Right now, across the United States, dozens of different rescue helicopters are in the air. Some are flying for the military. Some are flying for the Coast Guard. Some are flying over your city right now with a critical patient strapped to a stretcher. Each one is a completely different machine, built for a completely different version of the worst day of someone's life. Today, we're counting down every major type of rescue helicopter operating in America, what makes each one unique, and what it takes to fly one into the places no one else can go. The Airbus H125. We're starting with the little one, and don't let the size fool you. The Airbus H125, still commonly known by its older name, the AS350 A-Star, is a single-engine, light helicopter that does something no other rescue aircraft in this list can do quite as well. It flies high. High-altitude rescues, mountaineers stranded on 14,000-foot peaks, skiers lost above the tree line, hikers incapacitated in the Rockies. These are environments where most helicopters struggle just to stay airborne. The H125 was purpose-built for exactly this. Its powerful single turboshaft engine produces exceptional thrust relative to its weight, making it one of the most capable high-altitude platforms in the world. Search and rescue teams in Colorado, Utah, and Alaska rely heavily on the H125 for mountain rescues. Air Methods, the largest private HEMS provider in America, operating over 300 helicopters from bases in 48 states, uses H125s extensively in remote Western markets where altitude and terrain make larger twins impractical. It's not the flashiest helicopter on this list, but when someone's stuck on a cliff face at 11,000 feet and the clouds are closing in, it's the one you want to see coming. The Airbus EC-135. If you've ever looked up and seen a small helicopter racing toward a city hospital, there's a very good chance it was this one. The Airbus EC-135, now officially the H-135, is the single most widely deployed HEMS helicopter in the United States, and arguably the world. Why? Because it does everything urban EMS needs, and it does it quietly. That fenestron, the enclosed tail rotor, isn't just sleek, it produces significantly less noise than conventional tail rotors, which matters enormously when you're landing on a hospital rooftop in a dense residential neighborhood at 3 a.m. The EC-135 carries a pilot, a flight nurse, and a flight paramedic, and its rear clamshell doors make loading a patient stretcher far faster and safer than a side-loading configuration. In 2013, the EC-135 accounted for roughly 25% of all emergency medical helicopter flights worldwide. That number has only grown since. About 70% of HEMS transports in the U.S. today are inter-facility, meaning they're moving critically ill patients between hospitals, not pulling them from accident scenes. The EC-135 is the aircraft doing most of that work. Reliable, quiet, everywhere. That's the EC-135. The Airbus EC-145. Sometimes one patient isn't enough. Major trauma, mass casualty incidents, neonatal transports that require an entire specialized team plus an incubator. Situations where you need more room, more power, and more capability than a light twin can provide. That's where the EC-145 steps in. The EC-145 is the larger sibling of the EC-135, a medium twin-engine helicopter with a wider cabin and a higher payload capacity. It's the aircraft that air medical programs reach for when they need to fly a specialty team, a neonatal ICU nurse alongside an incubator, or a cardiac surgeon alongside a patient whose heart is literally failing. You may know the EC-145 as its military designation, the UH-72A Lakota, which the U.S. Army operates for training and utility missions. In civilian life, programs like Boston Medflight and UMass Lifeflight have built entire reputations around the EC-145 and its ability to deliver ICU-level care at 120 miles per hour. The EC-145 isn't the most common HEMS helicopter in America, but it's the one working the hardest missions.
The Bell 407 and 429. While Airbus dominates the HEMS market, American manufacturer Bell has been fighting for that space for decades, and with good reason. Two Bell platforms deserve to be on this list, the Bell 407 and the Bell 429. The Bell 407 is a proven single-engine workhorse, reliable, affordable to operate, and used by EMS providers across the country, particularly in mid-tier markets where budgets are tighter but response needs are just as real. The Bell 429, however, is something more ambitious. Designed with direct input from HEMS operators, pilots, and flight nurses, the 429 has the largest cabin door opening in its class, 62 inches wide on both sides, which sounds like a technical spec until you're trying to load a 300-pound patient in the dark, in the rain, and every second matters. It's also single-pilot IFR certified, meaning one pilot can legally fly it in instrument conditions, clouds, fog, night, alone. That dramatically expands when and where it can fly. Life Flight Network in the Pacific Northwest uses the Bell 429 specifically because of its IFR capability in the notoriously foggy Cascade Mountain region. Bell built it for the mission, and the mission keeps calling.
The Sikorsky S-76. Here's a helicopter that leads a double life. By day, it carries oil executives to offshore platforms. It carries heads of state between airports. 10 countries rely on it to transport their leaders. And yet, over 10% of all S-76 flight hours in its entire history have been flown in search and rescue and helicopter air ambulance missions. Meet the Sikorsky S-76. First flown in 1977 and designed from the ground up as a commercial helicopter, the first Sikorsky ever built purely for civilian use, the S-76 brought military-grade build quality to the civilian market. For major hospital systems that need a large, fast, reliable platform for critical care transport, moving patients between Level 1 trauma centers, transporting transplant organs, flying neonatal emergencies across state lines, the S-76 remains a top-tier choice. Its spacious cabin can fit 2 stretchers simultaneously with full-body access for up to 4 medical attendants. That's a flying ICU. Igor Sikorsky himself said a helicopter was a device for saving lives. The S-76 is proof he meant it. The MH-65 Dolphin. Now we're moving into federal territory. And we're starting with the helicopter you'll recognize immediately because that orange and white paint scheme is impossible to miss. The MH-65 Dolphin is the United States Coast Guard's short-range recovery helicopter, the first aircraft on scene when someone is in distress within roughly 150 miles of the U.S. coastline. Originally developed from the French Aerospatiale Delphin, the MH-65 entered Coast Guard service in 1984 and has been saving lives ever since. The USCG has operated over 100 of them at bases across the Atlantic, Pacific, Gulf of Mexico, Hawaii, Great Lakes, and Alaska. Its secret weapon is the USCG Rescue Swimmer, a specially trained crewman who jumps into open water in any sea state to physically reach and stabilize a survivor before the hoist can bring them up. These are some of the most elite water rescuers on Earth. The MH-65 can reach a survivor, deploy a swimmer, and hoist them aboard, all while hovering in 30-knot winds. As of 2025, the Coast Guard has begun transitioning to an all-MH-60T fleet, which means the Dolphin's days are numbered. But after more than 4 decades of ocean rescues, its legacy is permanent.
The MH-60T Jayhawk. If the Dolphin handles the close calls, the MH-60T Jayhawk handles the impossible ones. This is the Coast Guard's medium-range multi-mission helicopter, a heavily modified variant of the legendary Black Hawk, and its capabilities are genuinely staggering. The Jayhawk can fly 300 miles offshore, remain on scene for 45 minutes, hoist 6 people aboard, and return to base with fuel to spare. In emergency dash mode, it pushes 150 knots. It operates day, night, in fog, in storms, in conditions that ground every other aircraft within range. Its navigation suite, GPS, Doppler, inertial nav, satellite comm, and FLIR, is closer to a military aircraft than a civilian one, because, in terms of mission difficulty, it operates in military-grade environments. In 2017, a Jayhawk crew from the 920th Rescue Wing hoisted 2 German civilians 500 nautical miles off Cape Canaveral after their boat caught fire. 500 nautical miles. That's almost the distance from Miami to the Bahamas and back. In 2023, the Coast Guard approved plans to expand the Jayhawk fleet to 127 aircraft and eventually replace all Dolphins with the MH-60T, consolidating around one of the most capable SAR helicopters ever made. This is the Offshore Guardian. Nothing reaches further. The HH-60G Pavehawk. We're in the top 3 now, and the missions get darker. The HH-60G Pavehawk is the U.S. Air Force's dedicated combat search and rescue helicopter. And for the last 40 decades, it has been the aircraft that goes in when a pilot is shot down behind enemy lines. Not near enemy lines, behind them. The Pavehawk can air refuel in flight, extending its range indefinitely when paired with an HC-130 Combat King tanker. It carries miniguns or .50 caliber guns for self-defense. Its avionics suite, FLIR, satellite comm, precision GPS Doppler, terrain-following radar, and NVG lighting, is designed for one purpose: finding one person in the dark in a hostile country and bringing them home. The crews always include pararescuers, PJs, who are simultaneously combat soldiers, military freefall parachutists, combat divers, and nationally registered paramedics. Their training pipeline takes over 2 years, less than half who started finish. Since 9/11, Air Force CSAR units have executed over 12,000 life-saving combat rescue missions. For patients who were alive when PJs made contact, the survival rate in a recent peer-reviewed study covering a decade of operations was 97.2%. The Pavehawk is now being retired. Its replacement, the HH-60W Jolly Green II, is entering service as we speak, with doubled fuel capacity and upgraded survivability systems for the next generation of threats. The legend lives on, just with a new call sign. The Sikorsky HH-60W Jolly Green II. Every generation gets the rescue helicopter it needs. In Vietnam, it was the HH-3E Jolly Green Giant. In the Gulf War and Afghanistan, the HH-60G Pavehawk. Now, meet the next chapter. The HH-60W Jolly Green II is the Air Force's brand new combat rescue helicopter, purpose-built to replace the aging Pavehawk fleet with a program of record of 113 aircraft and a design philosophy built around one terrifying future scenario: a high-threat war, long-range rescue over the Pacific. Built on the UH-60M Black Hawk airframe, but extensively modified, the Jolly Green II doubles the internal fuel capacity of the Pavehawk without using bulky auxiliary cabin tanks that eat up crew space. That means longer legs, deeper penetration, more time on scene. It integrates a modernized defensive suite, radar warning, missile approach warning, countermeasures, because the Air Force has stared at the math of a Pacific conflict and accepted a difficult truth. The next CSAR fight won't look like Afghanistan. It will look like World War II-era distances with 21st century threats. Aviano, Kadena, and Kirtland air bases have already transitioned to the Jolly Green II. The New York Air National Wing's 106th Rescue Wing converted in 2024. This is the machine that will fly the hardest rescues of the next 50 years, and the men and women inside it are already training for a conflict most people can't bring themselves to imagine.
The Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk. There was really only one choice for number 1. Not because it's the most specialized, not because it's the most exotic, because it is, without question, the most important rescue helicopter ever put into service in the United States, maybe on Earth. The UH-60 Black Hawk. First introduced in 1979, the Black Hawk was designed as a troop transport. But over the last 4.5 decades, it has become the foundational platform for rescue operations across every branch of the U.S. military, dozens of state and federal agencies, and EMS systems worldwide. The medevac variant, officially the HH-60M, is the gold standard of military battlefield medicine. During the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, Black Hawk medevac crews operated under one of the most demanding rules of engagement in American military history: fly to the casualty within 60 minutes. The golden hour, the window when a severely wounded soldier's odds of survival are highest. The Black Hawk became so synonymous with medevac in those wars that wounded soldiers would often just say, "Get me a Black Hawk." And beyond the military, state police in dozens of U.S. states fly Black Hawk variants for search and rescue. FEMA deploys them for disaster response. The National Guard launches them after every major hurricane. The HH-60W Jolly Green II at number 2, Blackhawk. The MH-60T Jayhawk at number 4, Blackhawk. The HH-60G Pavehawk at number 3, Blackhawk.